5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Gossip news, gossip news, gossip, 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 gossip.
Hello, welcome everybody, welcome everyone to the Fox Den. I'm your debonair host, Mr. Fox Squire, and joining us tonight is the amazing Monique Dupree. Now, before I let her go ahead and introduce herself, I just want to go ahead and say thank you so much to headnerdsincharge.com. That's Head Nerds in Charge for bringing me on to the greater HNIC network. Now, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and share to headnerdsincharge.com and Head Nerds in Charge on YouTube and all other platforms. Now you're going to go to the .com, the headnerdsincharge.com, and select some of the fabulous merchandise that's there. But you also don't forget to go ahead and pick up your tickets for HNIC Con 2023. Now, without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and embrace our spectacle with my guest. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, it's so good to see you. I feel like I've been following you from afar for so long.
I know it's been a long time.
It has many moons ago. So I guess to start us out, I know that you have a very rich history. And instead of starting at the beginning, let's start where you are now. Let's start where you are now and what you're working on, and then we'll work our way backwards a little bit as we have time.
Okay, that's still a bit difficult.
Well, whatever you want to highlight, you got to tell us everything. I mean, we always want everything, but you ain't got to tell us everything. Just the highlights of even what you're doing today or in this last week. It can be very recent. It doesn't need to be all way back.
Okay. Well, I recently got back into wrestling because COVID took out the company that I worked for, House of Hardcore, where I was a producer and, wrestler, everything else, just a little bit of everything. So now I'm working over at New Wrestling Revolution out of Decatur, Illinois. And I just did a show there. I'm starting to do convention appearances again. And always my home in the genre of horror. I am doing more films now, and I'm in my happy place again because it took a long time to get back here because much like everybody else, COVID kind of just took out all of my work, and it was almost like starting all over again. But I'm back in the groove, and I'm doing it. I'm trying my best to keep that momentum going. I have 10 children. And my children are talented as well. And they do a lot of things in the arts. So, and my husband as well. So it's just kind of hard to keep up with everybody and everything. But this is what I'm doing, like what's recently been happening in maybe the last week or so.
All right. Yes. And I do. So yes, as you were saying, you have 10 children and a wonderful husband, Anthony. Yes. And I know they're multifaceted. We just got a comment up here. We stand a multifaceted queen. You also have multifaceted children who, including your husband, who paint. I have seen clothing and sales and a lot of different things. Have they, and I believe you have at least one little person, like ankle biter is what they used to call it when I was little, running around who is a great grandchild. Is that correct?
I have a grandchild. I have two grandchildren here at home. One is almost a month old now, and the other one, she's a year old. So there's two running around. I mean, I have a lot of grandchildren, but I mean, in the house right now,
Okay.
there's two of them in here. So
Okay.
yeah. It's busy.
It is. Now, do the new things that are the multifaceted that your children and you, along with your husband, did those all grow as you were growing in your own, I'm going to say, narration of a journey, or were these things that you helped with? I guess, where does that all lie as far as how intriguing or how into these things are you?
Well, you mean as far as what they do as
What
well?
they do and what you do, like, how's the cross? I guess is my
Okay.
question. How is that
Well,
crossover? Does it cross over, or are they like, we're in this lane and mom's over here,
oh
or
no, it
husband's over
absolutely crosses over. And
there?
as a matter of fact, I got to the point where I started using my platform specifically, sorry about the noise, specifically for my husband and my children, because I wanted to be able to utilize the platform to shine some light on my young people, my youth. So we've been traveling a lot lately. Myself, my 14-year-old daughter, who is a phenomenal artist, and she gets it from her father because I have not an artsy bone in my body where I can paint. That is one thing I do not do. I leave that to them. So we've been on a new journey recently because she's always loved to paint. So she just started painting more and more and more. And the next thing you know, I was, asking conventions, hey, if I'm going to be there, is it okay if you feature my daughter in Artist Alley or, something to that effect? And then the next thing I know, we were a trio traveling around to conventions all over the country. And we're returning back to two of them. Colorado Festival of Horror. So Inari will be selling her artwork. My husband will be selling his books and his artwork, and I'll be selling my everything there. I mean, I make jewelry now. During the pandemic, I needed another source of income. And as you may or may not know, our house burned down.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to start all over again. And instead of being discouraged, we used it as an opportunity to jump into new things. And so I started making jewelry and just kind of doing a little bit of everything. So when I go to these shows, I try to bring some of my jewelry, my photographs, just a little bit of everything that I'm doing with me. And it's so much that I need 2 or 3 tables to fill up what I'm doing, honestly. But it definitely crosses over. Our 10-year-old is a model. She was a gymnast, and I say was, but I should say is. She's been going to gymnastics since she was 8 months. But when COVID happened, again, it, took that out and she couldn't go. And once we were able to resume, we just didn't have the finances because I know people know gymnastics is expensive. So she wants to go back. So that is something that I'm working on now. So I'm taking on extra jobs to be able to fulfill that for her. My life goes to my children now. So I do things that I love, but I do it to be able to reinvest in them. I think that's important.
And Tevi is saying that you do not look old enough to be a grandma. Hashtag melanin is magic.
Yes, I think we currently have 11 or 12 grandchildren. We have a lot.
Aside from the 10 that you already have.
Well, my 10.
Yeah, you're 10 and then another 11 grandchildren.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big family. You clearly have taken over some things with just your clan by itself, and that's lovely.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, going back to you, one of the things you did touch upon as you were giving your update is the wrestling side, which I think many people are at least a little aware of. If you want to go into just whatever you're comfortable with when it comes to how that started and where you are now. I know you did give the wrestling, where you're wrestling at the moment, but how did it kind of start to get you to the point that you were like, I'm going to come back to help?
Yeah. Well, I've always loved wrestling since I'm 8 or 9 years old. I used to watch it all the time. It's just one of my favorite things to kind of escape from home life, was to watch wrestling. And I always wanted to be a valet, like Miss Elizabeth. I mean, there's so many good valets out there. And me and my daughter met Tommy Dreamer in 2011 at a WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And we shared this interest because my daughter always wanted to be a wrestler, my 29-year-old. So we basically kept in contact with him. And in 2012, he hit me up and said, "Hey, I'm starting my own promotion, House of Hardcore. I'd love for you to come out and see what it's like, bring your family." And I was pregnant at the time with my 10th child. So he wanted to know if I wanted to help in some capacity, but I was very, very pregnant. So I couldn't do that then. Went to the show, had a great time. And by the second show, I'd already had Lizzie. And he was like, "Hey, would you like to come help out or be a part of the show?" I had no training at the time. So it was kind of like how some of the ECW women did it, old school. I went out there and I valeted, but I didn't have experience. He just told me to lean on my acting, and I was already really athletic. So that was how it started. 2013 was when I actually got into the business, and then I started helping him to run the other side of things. I put the websites together. I would do ticket sales. I still run the social media. I would run all the social media. I would take the photographs to put on social media that day. I would go out and wrestle or do valet or do whatever I'm doing, and then come back and do all of that. So it was just it was kind of like having 10 children and running behind them, except it was for a company. So the company became my baby. And I had been doing it ever since, and I would travel with him all over the country, all over the world. We did some London tours. There was Australia tour, and just kept growing and growing and growing until people forgot that I'm actually a horror actress slash scream queen, and would just be like, "Oh, you're that wrestler." I'm like, "Well, actually, for 32 years, I was kind of an actress, maybe with
Not
over
kind
100
of.
credits.
Not kind of.
But sure, I'm a wrestler." But I love it. I love it so much. And I love that the fact that now I can do both things. House of Hardcore isn't, like I said, isn't in existence any longer, but I still, I've done things on Impact Wrestling. You probably saw me a couple of times doing audience stuff on AEW, because during COVID they couldn't have an audience. So what they did was they had the wrestlers as the audience, like right around the front. And I made the cut to do that, just to like kind of dip my toe into seeing what AEW is like. So I'm hoping that I can work my way up to the point where Tony Khan calls me and like, "Hey, we would love for you to be a commissioner." Because I kind of I'm a mouthpiece now, for New Wrestling Revolution. So I'm still heel-ish, but I come out and say what I need to say, kind of like Jimmy Hart, the mouth of the South. If anybody's familiar with wrestling, he has his bullhorn. I have the microphone, but I'm still, loudmouth who wears a suit all the time. So I'm loving it, and I have shows all the way up until the end of the year. So I'm very excited about getting back into the wrestling aspect of things. And my friend Awesome Kong just texted me. Wow, that's crazy.
Just they know you're out and about. That's why they know you're out and about.
Absolutely.
So as you're doing the wrestling and stuff, and you again have touched upon this, let's go ahead and dive in. You have done an amazing amount of acting, not just for horror, but across the board, of whether you have been a SAG extra, whether you have been in different things. I know you started at 14 with Lean on Me, and then that part of the acting side grew on up. So can you tell me a little bit about that part from the 14 to this? I know it's a big span, but if you want to highlight anything that this really changed it up for me when I hit this, or these were a few kind of marker points where it was like this changed.
Well, what was really important to understand, because I don't talk about it as much, but I grew up modeling for my uncle because he had a production company.
Mm.
And I was about 7 or 8 years old when I started modeling, because I always knew I wanted to entertain.
Mm.
So since I was crawling, walking, and I was conscious of doing things, I've always entertained. I
Mm.
just didn't know where I wanted to settle in entertainment. So I started off with runway modeling as a child for him. And then I told my grandmother I really wanted to be one of the people on TV. And she was just like, if you want to do it, then go ahead and do it. I don't know how to help you do it though. She really didn't. And then we saw in the paper, back when the paper was relevant,
Mhm.
we saw in the newspaper that they were casting for extras for Lean on Me.
Mhm.
And I actually had a speaking line in the movie, but I mostly
Mhm.
played an extra. And I was like, oh, can I please do that, because you need parents' permission?
Yeah.
And I got the part. I went in, took pictures, headshots, all of that stuff, got the part. And when I was on set, we worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Mhm.
every day. And I
Which is
was
not
so,
legal these days, just so people understand that. That is not good. That's not something you can do anymore with someone who is under
yes,
the age of 18.
yes,
This is a different time. Just want to
absolutely
make sure
not.
people know this was a different time.
Yes, but at the time, it was as long as you had your parents' signature and everything, and they had to like pick you up, drop you off, all of
Mhm.
that stuff. So that was their provisions that they made at the time. But
Mhm.
when I did that movie and I was on set, I was so in love. Like I fell in love. I fell in love with having to do it over and over again, with watching them create the sets, watching
Mhm.
them put everything together, block the lighting. Like I was in love with everything. I was like, this is it. This is me. This
Yep.
is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I need to do this. At the time, I thought television and film were the same animal, only to find out later that it's completely different animals.
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
that I found out later on when I did I can't even remember what it was now. Oh boy, Law and Order. Ooh, how did I forget that? When I when I
I
when I
remember.
did when I did Law and Order, I found out it was a completely different animal. But yeah, I fell in love with acting, but I've always loved horror, and I've
Mm.
always loved comedy. I grew up watching Lucille Ball all the time, and Benny Hill, even though I wasn't supposed to. But just
Which
watching
is
like
tame. Today they would be considered extra tame.
exactly.
Mhm.
Watching Sanford and Son, and I watched everything that was comedy, and I wasn't allowed to watch horror, but I would watch when I could. That's why I think I loved it so much, because I wasn't allowed to watch it. But anyway, it just the love happened there at the age of 14. And I've never had a manager or an agent as of yet. I think it's time for me to do that, because I'm a go-getter. I've always just done all of these things on my
Mhm.
own, and inquired, because I said, if I can't pay anybody to do this, I might as well. I've always taught myself everything.
Mhm.
When I did Lean on Me, I had braids in some of the scenes that I had to do for the same day. I had to do my own braids, because my
Yep.
mother said we couldn't afford.
Oh.
So since we couldn't afford it,
Mhm.
I had to learn how to do it myself, or just not have it done at all. So I taught myself how to braid. Everything, I'm self-taught with most everything,
Mhm.
because we just couldn't afford stuff. I couldn't afford to go to wrestling shows, even though I'd always wanted to. So when I became an adult and I had children, I took them to wrestling shows. So it's just a drive of things like that. And I'm trying to hit my bucket list with the different styles of movies and so on and so forth that I want to do. As a matter of fact, I will be playing a doll in a Little Red Rosie movie. So
Okay.
I finally get to voice a doll. I've
Yeah.
been wanting to do that like my entire career. So I'll get to do that this year. So I'll get to check that off the
And I
bucket.
will say, you can also check off, if I'm not mistaken, you've directed. You've had a
Yes.
directorial debut.
Yep.
If you want to tell us the name of the film and like
Yes.
if like where we could possibly look or find it, or if we were going to rent or take a look at it,
Of
and the
course,
genre.
it's actually a short. It's
Mhm.
30 minutes long, but it's called Shadowhunters Devil Speak, and it is available to view on Amazon. So you have Amazon Prime. I don't think it costs to rent it. I think it comes with Prime. I'm pretty certain that it comes with Prime. And I did a short first because I was in the film. I did production and I directed. I will never do all of those things ever again in one movie in life, ever. I learned hard lessons.
Well, you
Hard
learned on a
lessons.
short though. That's the good part, is that you didn't learn it on a feature. That
Right.
would have been even worse. I think I see John Tina 88 is saying, "Oh, that sounds dope," and also, is that out now on
Yes.
Amazon? Okay,
Yep.
and we're
It's out
getting
on
a yes,
Amazon
yes.
now. You can go look it up. It's actually part of a series from Darkstone Entertainment, and the writer is John Johnson. He's the one that helped me cut my teeth with the whole directing thing because I had no idea what I was doing. But the thing is that I used to edit music videos together. Like I would take people's songs and I would do an edit of it when I was just at a hotel by myself because traveling can be lonely sometimes. So that's how I used to pass the time. And one of my friends was like, the editing on this is really, really good. Have you ever thought about directing? And I was like, nope, never thought about it. And decided to try it. And I do like it. However, the next time I do it, I don't want to be in the movie. I want to focus on directing. I don't want to produce the movie. I want to focus on directing and that alone.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I did enjoy it, and it got a lot of good reviews.
Yes.
So I would say go
I
see it.
heard
Let me
about
know what you think.
the standing ovation at the Newark, what is it, Newark Comic Con? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Yep, I heard about the standing ovation from there.
yeah.
Try and keep up with everything, but you do so many amazing things. While we have a little moment here, I want to highlight two things. The first one is, of course, HNICCon, which is Head Nerds in Charge. If you want your tickets for HNICCon 2023, you can go ahead and stop off at headnerdsincharge.com. And that's right, it's HNICCon, the Carnival, for the 2023 tickets, and they are on sale right now. You can stop in to the website and get all those things along with your merchandise, and also thanking HNIC Network for having me on. But I also want to let people know where to find you. What's the easiest way to connect with you? And if there's any websites or anything that they can, oh, can't wait to see everybody already. If there's any websites that you would suggest that like, hey, this is a great place to connect with me, along with this is my social media. So whenever you're ready, because I have an IG for you right here.
Okay. Yep. That's my new IG because as you may or may not know, my old one got hacked and my old one was verified. So at 50,000 followers, it got hacked in 2021 and I haven't been able to get it back.
Yeah.
So I am working on getting this one verified, but it made me feel so down because I worked so hard for my verification. So I have that. I have my Twitter is the original Gata, THA original Gata, and my TikTok, which I'm trying to get on more now, is the true original Gata.
Okay.
And my Facebook, I have almost 1 million followers on my Facebook fan page, and it is verified. It's the true original Gata.
Okay. And then no, you have a website as well. Is that correct?
I do have a website. I haven't updated it in a while.
Got it. Got it. Yep.
So yeah,
The social media is really where it's at anyway. So that
it
IG is going to be the best place, and we want to get those numbers back up.
THA.
Oh yeah,
The,
THA, the.
yes, THA, the
Yep,
true original.
the
Everything
true.
with me is THA
Yes,
as opposed to E.
yes. No, yes, there it is. There it
Yep,
is. So that's the Facebook.
yep,
Now, as we're in the IG is Monique Dupree.
yep.
You see it here. Let's get those numbers up and help make this one just as successful as the last one. And I know verifying this in this particular climate has been very different than what it used to be.
Yes.
But getting back to you and your amazing kind of history and journey in life, aside from directing, now there is also the tier of you sing and
Yes.
you have your own band that you are the lead singer. Isn't that
Mhm.
correct? And
Yes.
it's Negro Child. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
We say Kyle, but it's
Kyle.
child. It's
Okay.
yeah.
Tell us about type of music, how this started. I would love some information on your singing.
Well, unfortunately, our band had disbanded for a while. Well, still now. And so my husband and I are working on music with our daughter ourselves. So we may not keep the band name. I'm not entirely
Mm,
certain, but the band was funky, and we sing and perform all kinds of music. We went from classic R&B to rock to metal to a little rap going, spoken word, because Saint is a vocalist as well, but he doesn't sing. He does the rap and the spoken word parts
mm,
of everything. So we have a song on Reverb Nation called Grindle. And what's exciting to me is that for the first time, I was able to walk out to a wrestling ring to my own song. And I was so happy about that. So Grindle is the song on Reverb Nation, where you can find it. You could just put my name in and it'll pop up, and let me know what you think. But I miss the
sure.
band so much, but I feel like this is going to be a rebirth of sorts, because
Hmm.
Saint's the mastermind behind the whole band anyway. So we
Mm.
still have him as a component, and our daughter is amazing. We have so many talented children. It's so hard to keep up. That's why I tell
Well,
people
I
all
mean,
the
you have
time.
two talented people come together. You go and
Yep,
produce.
that's
Like
true.
you go
That
and
is
produce. Like it's gonna happen. And you said on Reverb Nation, is it under Gata or it's under
it
Monique
should be under
Dupree?
the true original Gata.
True Original. Okay, fantastic. Um, and that's, I mean, it's what's gonna happen when you put two people who have a love for create, and then they create a person. You're probably gonna get some more. You're gonna keep producing that creation right there. And
Absolutely.
especially when it comes to the arts.
I tell
Um,
people that's why I'm broke all the time. Like it doesn't matter what money I make. It goes, into my bills, and it goes into my children,
mhm.
first and foremost. People think that I'm like hanging out in bars all the time. I'm doing social media for bars, or taking photographs for this company. It just, I don't care where it is. If they need my services, I'm there. So,
Right, right.
you
I
know,
mean, it's one of those things, and it's family, especially, always. And I know in our house and many of the other houses that I know of, it's always the thing that comes first. Like all the art, we just conglomerate together, and like, how do I support what you doing and what you're doing? Even for whether it's Twitch streaming, whether it's painting, I'm gonna do my best to be there, help, and put that on there. So I'm happy to hear it, but I also feel like that's exactly as it should be,
right.
as it should be when it comes to creation, especially with kids. Um, Now, as we're getting more deeper in, we have talked about your acting, we've talked about your singing, we talked about your directing, the wrestling. You are also making jewelry. What have I missed that you have not spoken about so far?
Uh, Running social media. I mean, I did speak about that. Uh, Promotion is another love of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and it really helped me to make money during the pandemic, because people didn't know how else to promote. They couldn't go out to promote the things that where you could still buy stuff and whatnot. So
True.
that really helps. But I've always been a promotional person because, I have to sell myself. I've had to help Saint sell his books. I've had to, help get the word out with, House of Hardcore and things of that nature. So I do a lot of social media managing. And sometimes I take on, small side gigs. So if anybody would ever be interested in that, one of the things that I like to do is I like to put my face in front as well, where if it's a company, if it'll help the company, like sometimes a face will help push a company
Right.
forward as opposed to just utilizing the social media.
Yeah.
But I'm also a hands-on person. I like to go out and not just depend only on social media.
Right.
It used to be word of mouth and you going out there and street teams and stuff
No,
like
no,
that.
yeah.
That's a lost art.
Yes. Yes.
But I still
Very much
do
so.
things like that.
Yeah,
So
I was the same is true with like just getting on the phone. Like
yeah.
the number of people that I surprise if I call them about something, like, you called me, and I'm like, yes, because we've exchanged all the socials, we've tried the emails. Let's just call, get this all done, get
Right.
this contract signed, and get us started instead of another email that seems to not be as clear for whatever reason. So yeah, that I think the street teams and phone basic phone calls are lost arts these days.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I
Right.
still believe in them. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's just doing a little bit of everything. Whatever I can do, uh I do.
Mhm.
And especially like I said, where my kids are concerned, I had to start learning some gymnastics stuff because when my daughter was in gymnastics class all the time, and then when the pandemic hit, when it first hit, we still had our house.
Mhm.
So what I did was I got rid of all the living room furniture and turned it into a gym and gymnastics area.
Oh.
And I had bought all the stuff for them to practice and while I worked out so that they could do that while I'm doing that. When I say that I believe in my kids, I
Mm.
believe in my kids, and I
Mhm.
wanted her to continue to learn so that she didn't fall behind because she's very talented.
Mm.
I don't know what's going to happen now because since our home burned down and we had to start all over, we're renting and we don't even have the space to put up the stuff anymore,
Right.
which
Right.
makes me really really sad. But just I think just saying that I do a little bit of everything is how to put it.
Okay. All right. Now you spoke earlier of your bucket list
Yeah.
of things. Can you share, like, you're about to do the doll and voice a doll, which was on the list. Is there anything else on the list that's either coming up or that you're like, I've been looking to join myself in and check that off of my list?
Well, I would love to do an action movie
Mm.
where I can do some of my own stunts.
Mm.
I think that that's very important for me. And I know some people might look at my age or whatever and say, I'm not sure. But listen, I hit the gym all the time. I work out, I stretch. I try to learn everything that I can absorb so
Mhm.
that I can be the best me, when I do this, because I'm going to speak it into existence. It's going to happen that I
Mhm.
will be in some type of action flick. The other thing I have on my bucket list, which I'm sure almost everybody does, is even if I'm just walking by the camera, I want to be in a Marvel movie. Just hello, Marvel, just let me walk by and just say, I was in a Marvel movie. I
That's
don't have
it.
to I don't have to be a main character. And I settle for being in the background and you say, see that dot right there? That's me.
That's a me back
I,
there. That's
that
right.
right. I want to be in a Marvel movie. So and I would also like to play voice on some type of animation. So
Yeah.
those are my bucket list.
Those are great bucket list items. And as you are definitely have your fingers in a lot of fantastic pies and succeeding in so many things. I see all of those happening. I do want to have just one more question for you.
Sure.
Now, as you have done so many different things, I would love to hear about just probably the thing that sticks with you as you're doing each thing. I'm sure that there have been moments where it's like, ooh, this just warmed my heart. This just was it stuck with me. I'm sure you have more than one. I'm happy to hear more than one, but if you could share one, that would be amazing.
So something that sticks with me.
Something that just warms, like when you think back, you're like, that, like, and I know kids definitely always play a part and stuff like that
Yeah.
because they do a lot of stuff. It can be something involving your kids, your husband, whatever you are comfortable and happy to share. We would love to share in it as well. And feel free to do more than one if you want to do two. Like, not trying to put you in a box.
I was gonna say that is a whole lot.
Mhm.
What I will say that has nothing to do with acting or what have you, it has always more than warmed my heart that my husband has always been there by my side
Mm.
when I was having, when I'm having the babies. And when I say by my side, I don't mean just standing there. I mean, he's the reason why I built the pain tolerance. He would play cards with me and teach
Mhm.
me focal points, teach me, breathing, not what they tried to teach me, because that didn't work. Um, but it was to the point where there was a level of calm when I was giving birth. And that is because of Saint. That is because of my husband. And that's always really, truly touched my soul, because
Mm.
I hear all of these horror stories
Mm.
about guys being in the labor and delivery room, or even women that's screaming, or, that's never been me. And I've had natural birth, all except for one, and the
Oh, wow.
epidural only worked for half of my body, so I would say technically it didn't work. um I
Oof.
love and appreciate how invested he's been throughout the whole process,
Mm. Mm.
and that helped me a lot spiritually, emotionally, and the connection that we have with our children, it brings it full circle.
Mm.
I feel like that helps me with all of this. The other thing that has to do with work also kind of leans on him. I don't want to keep sounding like I'm talking about him, but it's true.
Please feel
um
free. He's your
when
partner in this, so please feel free. Please don't hold back. Go right ahead.
when he's been on set with me, and I do films, a lot of the times when I'm unsure about myself, because we all go through those things. So I'd be unsure about my performance as an actress, or learning lines or something like that. He's helped bring out the best in me
Mm.
in a lot of my roles where he's been on set, and elevated my performance, you know, by merely giving me little tips from an outside perspective. His love, the forehead kisses, the "you got this," all of those things really put me in a different state of mind. And so when I say we're a team, you know, we're a team. And, we had fallen on hard times with one another, where we had separated for a little bit. And I feel like that was the worst time uh, in my life, because I lacked that piece, that missing piece, in my heart. And I'm just so happy that we found our way back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has been nothing but a pleasure to have you here. But I know, so as we talked backstage, you have another engagement tonight, and I
Yes.
want to honor getting you to your next engagement in a timely manner. So thank you so much for coming and spending time with us here in the Fox Den. We're going to put up your social media again before you head out.
Okay.
And that's the IG account. This is Monique Dupree. And then this will be for that original Gata. That's Facebook. And I think most of the other pieces, you'll find the TRU original Gata. So it was such a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there any last plug that you want to do for something you have coming up before you unfortunately leave us from the den tonight?
Well, just look up my socials and stay tuned for the appearances that I have coming up. I will be in New York City at Big Apple Comic Con March the 25th and 26th. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey area and you want to come out and meet me and a whole bunch of other great guests, please do come on through. I would love to see you.
And you said it's the Big Apple Comic Con, and what's the dates again?
It's March 25th and 26th.
And that's in where in New Jersey?
In New York. It's in New York City.
Sorry,
I think it's in the New Yorker hotel.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I'm sure.
And I have to thank you for having me on. You know, we go back. You know? And I
go back to body paint. We didn't even get into that part, but we go back to body paint.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. It's
always a pleasure to see everything you're doing, and you are such an inspiration, and you're such a lovely person. I love seeing you and your family just thriving time in and time out, and I'm beyond happy that you were able to come and sit with us today in the Fox Den. And I see that it is getting close to time that I think your transportation should be coming through to pick you up soon.
Yes.
So thank you again. And just one last plug: the IG is Monique Dupree. Again, it's right here on the screen. We're going to get those numbers up because we're all here. And Everyday Cosplay Collection is saying magnificent energy here. And hello. Well, already got somebody, many people on your team, but now you got another one.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You are so welcome. So
in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire. Caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire.